Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Empowering Industry Podcast. I'm your host, Charli Matthews, and I am so excited about summer. I'm living it up in July. I hope everybody had a great holiday, and I'm just excited to be here with Taylor, too. I haven't seen him in a while. I think it was like snowing last time I saw him. And so, Taylor, jump on here and introduce yourself.
Yeah, thanks, Charlie. Yeah, I'm really excited to jump on. Obviously, we met each other a few months ago back in snowy Chicago. What was it, January or so? I feel like we got the really, really authentic like Chicago winter experience, and
Oh, it was
yeah,
beautiful. Somebody from Alabama, when we see little snow flurries, we were just like so excited. So I was videoing the whole thing for the training. It was the all women's training that we did there, and I got to be a part of it. So I got to see Taylor in action. So that was really wonderful and kind of kicked off, I guess, the relationship of being back in the Little Red Schoolhouse. And so tell us a little bit about that.
yeah, that was such a good experience. I still think about that from time to time, even kind of moving forward. And I know that we saw each other down in Orlando, kind of in your backyard for AHR, and we got to chat and catch up. And you ran over and gave me a big hug, which is always good.
That's a Charlie
Um,
thing, isn't it?
no, I love it. I love it. I'm from the Northwest, and so we're very big on hugging and stuff. It's so like we're very casual up here, so it's all good. I like that. No, but that week, yeah, that class that we had back in January, it was so cool. It was just a different and more energetic experience, and I think it was really good. It provided some of us who spend a lot of time in the schoolhouse teaching, provided us a different perspective, and I think it was necessary. And it was so positive. I think we're going to make that more of a recurring thing. At least I hope so. I know that we're having discussions about how we can, make that more of a permanent fixture in the schoolhouse schedule. So I'm really excited to hear that you really had a good time. And I've spoken with a few of the attendees from that week as well, and they all say the same thing. They all say that it was such a good experience. The relationships that they got to forge with other attendees and with those of us at Xylem and Bell and Gossett was really impactful for them. And so at the end of the day, that's what's most important,
I mean,
right?
as a
The people
trainer
that
and teacher, right? Like that is what you want from the audience.
absolutely anyone that walks through our doors, we just want them leaving with a little bit more confidence and leaving with a positive experience. And that's what's so important to us, really.
Okay, so tell us how you got into the industry. I know you as a trainer, that's where I met you, but how did you get to, well, the pump industry for one, but then you're the trainer too.
Well, yeah, that's gosh, man, where do you really start? Like how far back do you want to go? Let's see here. I always knew growing up, and I'm sure a lot of your guests on your podcast are probably science and engineering based folks. Like I knew very early on I was really good at math, and I was always a couple years ahead. Advanced math classes, physics, AP classes, all that good stuff. It's kind of a funny story. My parents kind of recognize that too, and they're like, he's going to grow up to be a plastic surgeon, and we have hit the lottery. And then in eighth grade health class, I passed out during a basic first aid class. And there was like this video and they showed blood and I fainted. I mean, I was like a fainting goat, just whoop, just right over onto the ground. And I remember laying in the nurse's office that day, and she's like, well, I guess practicing medicine is kind of out the door for you. And I was like, oh gosh, my mom is going to be so upset. But
I could totally
I was
relate.
always,
I could totally relate. My mom was a nurse and
Danielle.
she thought that was my path too. But I can't do it. No, it's not my thing at all.
Yeah, but I've always been a mechanical person. I love playing with Legos and stuff and putting stuff together. And I took CAD design classes in high school. And I when I was looking at university and college, it was all I knew very from a very early get go in high school that engineering was going to be where I was going to end up. And so I got into engineering. I went to Gonzaga University, so go Zags. It's the big basketball school that everyone seems to mispronounce their name. It's Gonzaga. So yeah, anyways, go
Definitely not
Zags.
how we pronounce it down here. I'm not even going to butcher it for you.
No, it's okay. Everyone does it. Yeah, I got my my bachelor's mechanical engineering from Gonzaga, and then I actually got into consulting. So I spent 2 or 3 years in the consulting industry, being a consulting mechanical engineer. So writing specifications, reviewing specs, and doing uh, equipment lists and equipment schedules and doing drawings. And I actually I got really heavy into the STEAM space in that first few years, and then I kind of hit a little bit of a hold where I decided I want to go back to graduate school. And so I did go back to graduate school and finish my master's degree in mechanical engineering from the University of Washington up in Seattle, which is where I was living up there at the time. And after graduate school, I needed I needed something different. I wanted to try something different. I wanted to take myself outside of my comfort zone. And so both of my parents are in sales actually. And my dad was like, you could try technical sales or something. And so that's what I did. I went to go work for a field sales rep, manufacturer's rep that covered the Northwest, and I was selling and helping engineers with boilers, heat exchangers, pumps, steam plant equipment, that kind of stuff. And then I actually got hired at Xylem almost 4 years ago, now 3.5, 4 years ago, whereabouts. And I was on a sales team there for a couple of years, and then at the beginning of last year, I was fortunate enough to kind of drum up some interest from the folks in the schoolhouse, and they took an interest in me, and they had an open role, and so I just kind of jumped into it, and yeah, the rest is kind of history.
Well,
That's kind of how I ended
I
up
love
in sales.
that you went into sales as an engineer because I think I, when you hear sales engineer, it's always like, is that the same thing? But in order to do really either job, you need both skills, right? And you can master hard and soft skills and continue to learn. But so I always like that. And I think we all need to be able to express our ideas and be able to talk to people. And so I have a child who is graduating next year and he wants to be an engineer. And I say, well, you've got to learn to talk to people and you've got to, be able to present your ideas and all these
That
things.
is important. It
Yeah.
is. But it's kind of funny in my social circles here at home in my personal life, I catch a lot of flack for having the quote unquote gift for gab. You've spent time around me. I have no problem talking to people and getting to know people. And the people that I know here at home, they're like, oh, Taylor's never met a stranger before.
But that is so important for the job that you're doing as you welcome people in to the little schoolhouse. That they have to trust you, they have to like you. It's kind of similar to your sales process, that, or, you're going to be bored or you're going to tune out or whatever. And
Yes.
we need
Oh,
them
yeah, I
to,
know. That's
yeah.
like one of my worst fears is that people, get bored while, you're trying to be up there talking to them or teaching about something. Like you want to be engaging. You want to hold on to their attention, and you want to keep them focused on kind of the task at hand, really. But yeah, helping them feel more comfortable. And you know me, I'm a little bit more laid back. I'm not super formal. So I think that all of those are really important things for sure.
Yeah, and you have the knowledge there. So you've had the background in engineering that you're able to go through and talk, do the technical knowledge, but throw it, I'll say a little flair in there so that you can, just it's fun, and I think that that is what a classroom setting needs. It needs the instruction and the fun. And somebody who cares about their students, and that is the feel that you get when you go in there. So I'm glad I got to experience, so I can say that with truth, right? I'm not just saying it to y'all. I actually sat in the class with Taylor. And then the other part of that is there's a virtual aspect. And so y'all are doing webinars and things like that too. How is that, I guess, dynamic for creating trainings that are virtual?
That's a really, really good question. The webinar series, that was an idea that our commercial building services group, whom some of you, you met some of them, I think, back in January. We wanted to create a more rounded offering. And I think what's really important for today, and you and I were just kind of going back and forth talking about it, is, trying to keep folks engaged, trying to keep folks interested and wanting to learn, and feeling comfortable, in being in that space of just, being open and learning new stuff. Well, I feel like the requirements, or kind of the game has changed a little bit, right? I think we're in a time now where we're learning where the methods of teaching, concepts of heating and cooling, or fundamentals, or anything like that, thermodynamics, fluid mechanics, anything, any of those topics, it has changed. What happened, or what we used and what worked well 25 years ago, 30 years ago, isn't necessarily the best approach necessarily anymore. And so I think making the instruction and making the learning opportunities more accessible, um, and not just requiring people to come in and listen to you in person, but also offering the opportunities for them to, say, jump on for a webinar or a virtual learning opportunity. I think the biggest piece of that is keeping those opportunities consistently coming, so that even though someone might have missed the last one, you give them the ability to go back and listen to a recording and take a quiz to get a certificate for CEU, or whatever is important, right? But keeping them coming back consistently, it keeps the kind of the pathways, still burning new pathways kind of in the brain. And I think keeping that learning journey consistent, and kind of more so just a journey, quote unquote, and not just an end result. You want to keep them going, right? And I feel the same way. I want to keep my learning journey. I'm always looking to learn new stuff about new technologies or new equipment or new trends. Keeping that journey going and keeping it more consistent, I think, is going to treat us all better. So,
Yeah, I love being able to go to the schoolhouse, and then, you get to do the hands-on, you get to see it up close, and then to have that as a resource even after you leave, I think is ideal. Because, I mean, it's natural that we're going to forget some of the stuff that's being taught,
oh, sure.
even with the best instructors. And so to be able to revisit that on your own time is perfect. So I'm excited for you. And I'm also really curious about, what keeps you motivated and inspired in this space.
What keeps me motivated and inspired? Yeah, I naturally, um, I grew up doing a lot of sports, and I was always in athletics. My dad had me playing basketball probably by the time I was 3 or 4. I played soccer growing up, and I got really into endurance sports as I got a little bit older. I ran cross country in high school, college. I still run as often as I can these days, and I ride a bike and do all of these things. And the one thing that kind of keeps me lacing up the shoes and getting on the bike is, what kind of challenge is coming up. And I know it sounds so cliche, but it is true for some people. Like, we always have to have a challenge that's off in the near future that we're kind of preparing ourselves for. I can never just go out uh, and not have something that I'm like looking forward to, or I'm training for, or something. And I think that still applies in the professional space as well. I'm always looking for something challenging. I'm always trying to do something. We do hard stuff is something that I say quite a bit, right? Don't nothing, nothing great ever comes super easy, right? So do the hard stuff, challenge yourself. I mentioned taking myself outside of my comfort zone at certain points in time, because that's where you really learn who you really are, right? When you really got to dig deep, when you're out hours into a bike ride or in a really long run, that's when you learn who you really are, right? When it really starts to hurt, and when your body's telling you, like, hey, it's time to stop, or when it's trying to shut you down and you got to keep going, that's when you learn some lessons. And I think I can pull some of those parallels, and I think a lot of people pull some of those parallels into their professional space as well, right? When the going gets tough, you just got to keep going. Just keep showing up and keep taking yourself outside of your comfort zone. Everything else will take care of itself.
Yeah, and I think about just the course that we went to, and it's different from your everyday to go into a training setting, right? And to even take a quiz and to get a certificate. Like, this is not something that's in our day to day after we graduate. And so it's nice to have that. And, you know, for me, it's not, again, not in my, I don't even have to do this, but to go and like, train on a pump curve or do some calculations. It does remind me a little bit about finance, which is where I graduated from.
Oh, good. Yeah.
Yeah, with the letters and numbers. But, it's like, I think that that is something that everyone, distributors, engineers, sales, et cetera, operators across the board, they can go into that classroom setting and get out of the everyday mundane, tasks that they were doing and see some more people engage, remind themselves of the excitement of their work. Those are wins across the board.
I certainly hope so. And you probably experienced it like with the work problems that we hand out during our classes, right? Those are not meant to trick you or to show you things that you don't know. It's meant to just, hey, just you just learned something new. Let's try it out. Let's practice it, right? Because at the end of the day, you can listen and you can read a bunch of stuff, but if you don't put it into practice, right? If you don't have the homework problems that we all got in high school or college or whatever, that's when you really start putting it into and working that muscle memory, right? And that's how you really learn it. And it's not meant to trick people. It's meant to really help them learn. And so I'm really glad that was a positive experience for you and that you actually drew on that.
Absolutely, absolutely. Practice, practice, practice. Okay, Taylor. So as we've been talking, is there anything that kind of came up for you or anything else that you want to leave with our audience?
Yeah, I always like to leave a lasting message of just continue your learning journey. It's important. You're never done learning, and go out and learn something completely new. Go out and tackle a big challenge. Continue to tackle to challenge yourself. Really take yourself outside of your comfort zone, and just continue that learning journey. Honestly,
Well, good. Well,
so
we'll connect them to your next webinar. I will put that in the show notes and definitely take a look at their schedule and what's coming up with them down the road too. And if you're ever in Illinois, make sure that you go and see them. And I'm like thinking, is it Illinois? It was Illinois, right?
yeah,
So
right.
I'm always in Chicago. So, okay, when we have guests on. I have to do a little rapid fire. It's not,
All right.
don't worry. But what is your favorite book?
Favorite book? Oh gosh. I'll be honest with you, and I know that we're supposed to do rapid fire, but I'm not a big reader actually, but I have, again, it's not something I'm super comfortable with in reading novels, but I have been trying recently. I went to graduate school at the University of Washington, and I am reading Boys in the Boat, and it's so good,
Okay,
so
well
good.
now I've got
Go
to look
out and
this up.
read Boys in the Boat. It's such a good book.
Okay, wonderful. And what about music? What's your favorite?
Man, I'll tell you what genres I do not like because
Okay.
I love all sorts of music. Shockingly enough, I'm a big metalhead. I really like metal and really loud, heavy music. More so just for exercising and big workouts and stuff. Um,
That's a
anything
big
really.
part of the like training for marathons. I mean, you have to have the playlist, right? Or
Yeah, a little bit of alternative rock, some metal, EDM. I really like that stuff. Just anything but country. I
yeah,
cannot do
it's too
country for
slow for
whatever
you.
reason.
Too slow.
Can't
You're-
do it. Yeah.
okay, what about okay. What is the best advice you've ever received?
Oh, the best advice that I've ever received. Um, keep showing up. Just
Very
keep showing
good.
up. When
Very
things get hard, just keep showing up. It's 80% of that's 80% of the job. Just keep showing up. Whatever it is. It could personal stuff, professional stuff. My dad taught me that. Just keep showing up.
You know what? And you've already given so many little nuggets throughout your talk of advice, but I do have to just ask you if there was a new professional coming into the pump industry, what advice would you give them?
Oh, good question. Don't be afraid to ask questions.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Well, I could talk to you all day, Taylor. Definitely
Likewise, yeah.
love learning from you and just appreciate you and what you've done. Like I said, it was an enjoyable experience to be there at the Little Red Schoolhouse, and I look forward to seeing you. doing your thing, co-ed, and also when the women are together. I love seeing that. Y'all know that here. We're empowering all leaders here. So until next time, be empowering, share the episode, like, subscribe, all that great stuff. Taylor, thank you so much.
Thank you, Charli. I appreciate you having me on. I'm looking forward to next time.